Hi everyone, this is the Blunt Bastard podcast, and I am one half of the Blunt Bastards. The other half is not here on this video, but if you see our other videos, you will find him as well. And my name is Bikram, and his name is Gaurav. But as I said, that he is not there in this video because this is an individual video which I am doing reviewing a documentary called The Magical Andes, or if you go by the original name, Andes Mágicos. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing the name in Spanish because I don't know any Spanish at all. We are a podcasting channel and we talk about a lot of topics which includes mainstream topics like cricket, and in fact right now we are covering the IPL and we are continuously releasing a lot of videos on IPL. But apart from that, we also talk about a lot of offbeat subjects, and you can check out our channel. And if this is the first time you are watching one of our videos, please consider subscribing. This motivates us to make many more videos and spend our time making good quality content for you guys to consume. And I can assure you that will not be giving you the same recycled content which you find in a lot of other channels, and will have very interesting topics all the time. And if you like this t-shirt which I am wearing, you can check out our web store spawnpoint.in, where we make and sell video gaming related t-shirts. So if you are interested in video gaming and want to check out some of our t-shirts, you can check out the website www.spawnpoint.in. The link will be in the description. Okay, so let's start with the review of this documentary, The Magical Andes, and it's the English name. The documentary is in Spanish. There are English subtitles, but the spoken language is completely Spanish, which should not be a big problem because this documentary is about the natural beauty of South America. No, I'm not talking about this beauty. I'm talking about the actual natural beauty which you find in South American region. And this documentary is available on Netflix. So if you have a Netflix subscription, you can easily watch it. And even if you don't have a Netflix subscription, you can just ask one of your friends. I'm sure they'll share it with you, or you can also go for a free trial. So coming back to the documentary, this documentary talks about the Andes mountain range, which is the longest continental mountain range in the world, and it is almost 7,000 kilometers long. This mountain range has mountains which are in fact the highest mountains in the world outside of Asia. So it's pretty impressive, and I didn't know much about it. I really like mountains. I have visited the Kumaon region of the Himalayan range. Most of the time in my life I've only visited beaches, but when I first went to a real mountain like those Himalayan ranges, I was really impressed, and it felt like home for me. From that day I was really a mountain person. And I've also been to South America. I've lived in Brazil for a few weeks. I went to São Paulo, or as it is called, Sao Paulo, which is the business center of Brazil. And I even traveled to Santos, which is a district in Brazil, which is again surrounded by hills. But this documentary is not about Brazil. This documentary is about Andes, as I said, Andes mountain range. This mountain range is 7,000 kilometers long. So it crosses through 7 South American countries, which include Argentina, Chile, Bolivia, Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, and Venezuela. So this documentary actually covers all these regions apart from Venezuela, which I'll come back to later on. And it takes us through a journey. It starts from Argentina and ends in Colombia. It's 6 episodes long, and I think each episode is half an hour. But those half an hour episodes are really magical. It takes us through some of the really exotic locations along the Andes mountain range. There are places which I had never heard about. There are things in those places which I never thought about. I mean, I saw salt flats which stretches to hundreds and thousand kilometers long. I saw places which are so remote that no one has ever ventured there. I saw glaciers which are as big as large cities. I didn't know much about Bolivia. In this documentary, they take us to Bolivia. They take us to the capital of Bolivia, which is La Paz. There, they use aerial tram which is generally a tourist attraction in any other hill station. There they use it as mode of transport, like a daily mode of transport, because the city is situated so high in the mountain ranges. It takes it through a lot of places. I don't want to spoil much. If you are going to watch the documentary, I would really recommend this documentary if you are even slightly interested in mountains and South American culture. It doesn't only show us the mountains, it also takes us to all those people who are living in those mountain ranges and their stories as well, which was very interesting for me. In fact, there was a guy who says that the day he moved to that region and he used to live in a big city, that day there was a volcano which erupted and all the ash fell in front of his house, and he was thinking that why did I come to this region. But then after that he really liked it. Once you start living in such places of natural beauty, then you really don't want to go to a big city. And this, I have also felt that when I visited the Himalayan ranges, I really didn't want to come back. And in fact, I was so happy that I even bought a book which has records of all the places in that area which you can visit, which you can trek, and someday I want to go there. And in fact, after watching this documentary about the South American Andes mountain range, I really want to visit some of those places, but I know that it will be very difficult. First of all, there is a language problem, since I have lived in Brazil. In Brazil, people speak Portuguese, but in most of South America, people speak Spanish. So you really need to know Spanish if you want to travel in South America. And I think this is one of the reasons why many Indian people don't know much about South America, because it's really difficult place to travel. There are a lot of unsafe places as well. And this brings us to the point about the documentary. On IMDb, this documentary is rated 7.9, which is decently high, but when I watched the whole documentary, I felt that it's a 9, or maybe even close to 10. But then I found the reason why it is not rated 9 or 10 or even 8.5 or something like that, because it never shows Venezuela. As I said, that the mountain range actually goes through 7 countries. So it shows 6 countries. It shows Argentina, Peru, Chile, Bolivia and Ecuador, but it doesn't show Venezuela, which is really not surprising, because Venezuela is a very beautiful country, but it is very violent. In fact, there are US travel advisories saying that no one should visit Venezuela if possible, because it's just very violent and it's very very dangerous for tourists. So I think the documentary makers didn't want to risk their life to shoot this documentary. And this is one of the things which really surprised me, because when I was in Brazil, people always were talking about safety, because even in Brazil, when I was living in Sao Paulo as they say in Portuguese, people were really scared, and daylight theft, people pointing gun at your face and taking your stuff was very common there. Generally, when we think about South America, we always think about all the drug mafia, the cartels and all that. And in fact, this documentary takes us to Colombia, which is very famously shown in a Netflix series called Narcos, because Colombia is where Pablo Escobar was running his cartel, the drug cartel. He was running it through a city called Medellin, and there was, I think they showed a Cali cartel, and these places are shown in this documentary. And I researched about it. Now these places are relatively safer they are relatively safer now to travel. The crime rate has fallen down. In fact, in Colombia, a lot of companies have started coming up, and I think Medellin is where all the good companies are set up, and it's relatively safer now. But yeah, this documentary is not about cities. It does go to those cities, but it's about those communities which live along the mountain range, who have been living there from long time. It talks about history as well, history of that area, of all the areas which are showcased in this documentary, and which is really fascinating. I would suggest that rather than watching the same kind of thing on Netflix, there are like similar kind of series or similar kind of movies. You can give this a try. I'm sure that you will really like it. I can just go on and on talking about it, but I don't want to take up so much of your time. but I would highly recommend this series. Yes, there are some misinformation in the series. As I said, they don't talk about Venezuela. They never go to Venezuela, and they don't even mention Venezuela, which is really surprising, because they should have at least mentioned that this mountain range is also present in Venezuela, but they never talk about it. And the other problem I found was they didn't spend a lot of time in Ecuador. I think they just spent like 10 minutes. They spent a lot of time in Argentina, which again is not really surprising, because Argentina is one of the good countries safety wise, and I think you can easily travel to many regions. So yeah, that was not a very surprising decision at the end. But even after those shortcomings, we know so little about South American region that those negatives are not negatives for me, because I don't really know anything about it, right? And because of that, I got interested in a lot of things. In fact, I started reading a book about South America. I think it's called Mesoamerica. So I started reading this book by Marie Arana, who is a Peruvian born American writer. I would suggest 2 of her books, and I will put the links in the description. The first book is Silver, Sword and Stone, 3 Crucibles in the Latin American Story, and this is the book which I'll suggest that you read first, because it talks a lot about the history of that region, starting from the Incas, which were the Asian civilization which was there in South America, that region of South America. South America is huge. There are a lot of places. As I said, we don't even go to Brazil in this documentary. But when I'm talking about this book is really good. I have just completed 10% of this book. This book is also very huge, because it talks about a lot of stuff. It goes through a lot of eras, including the conquest by Spanish conquistadors. So if you know about Columbus, he wanted to discover India. So there is an Indian angle as well. He wanted to discover India, but he ended up discovering this huge continent, South America. And that's why even now the native people in that region, they are called Indians, because Columbus didn't know that he is in some another continent altogether. He has not reached Asia, and for a large part of his life he believed that if he goes further, he can reach Japan, or he can reach mainland India, which was incorrect. It talks about that. It talks about colonialism, which is also closer to us, because we were ruled by Britishers for a long time. And same goes for the South American region. They were ruled by Spaniards for a long period of time, and that's why you see large amount of population speaking Spanish. It's really fascinating, this book. So yeah, this video is about the documentary and little bit about this book. And the second book which she has written about South America is Simon Bolivar and the American Liberator, which is about Simon Bolivar, who was a very important figure in the independence of South America from the Spanish colonials. So I've not read that book. I've started that book, but I then felt that I should first complete the Silver, Sword and Stone, because it talks about the history, and Simon Bolivar is more modern history. So I thought, let me first read about the older times. So I know I'm not sure how many people are really interested in these things, but I would really suggest that spend some time, learn about South America, because there are a lot of parallels between India and South America. There are a lot of things which I felt were very similar in our story, in the Indian story. So yeah, I really hope that after watching this mini discussion about this documentary and this book, you guys really spend some time and check out both those things. And you can, if you don't want to read the book, you can obviously just see the documentary. And I think there is a series on Simon Bolivar on Netflix, but that again is in Spanish. There's no English voiceover in there, and it's 60 episodes long, so I don't know whether you will be able to finish it. I have not watched it, but I want to read the book first and then probably see whether I get time to watch the whole show. Just to end that, it's very interesting. Please watch the documentary. Even though there are some inaccuracies, I would highly recommend it. And if you are more interested, then you can read these two books. The writer is Marie Arana. So that's it for this video. Let me know if you like this kind of podcast, this kind of video. If you do, I will love to talk about things which I really like. I will talk about things which are not very mainstream, not something which everyone talks about. In fact, I am so fascinated by all this that I can actually talk about these things for an hours. But I don't want to take so much of your time, and I really hope you liked it. And if you liked it, please consider subscribing. And if you don't want to see our faces, my faces and Gaurav's face, then we also have these podcasts in audio only format, and the links will be again in the description. So okay, so hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.